Hey guys, what's up? Absolutely Beast here, bringing you guys a race on Forza 6 today. So this is a new series of races that I did. So every race I did in this series, which was 6 races with this Audi R18, I stalled the car every single time at the beginning. There was no way to not stall the car, with clutch, without clutch. And it took me until the final race to figure it out, and I actually had to redo several races. And so I had to figure it out. So I ended up doing like 8 or 9 races before I finally got to the place where I could start it. So this was the Ultimate Motorsport volume, and this was the first series in there. And I decided to go with the Audi R18. That was one of my most popular videos on Forza 5, one of my older videos, and so I did that one. So this is actually my very first race with it in this game. I actually had to buy it. Yeah, so you'll see me rewind a number of times during this race. But honestly, it takes me the whole first lap and part of the second lap before I can get the hang of the car at all. Otherwise, I'm just, not able to do anything. So this is a really sick livery that I have on here. It's green and black, and it just looks so sick. Like, you can see all that green striping and stuff. The mirrors are green. The wheels are green. It is an absolute hot mess. There were a couple red ones that looked absolutely incredible, but one of them, they just had little like stickers here and there. One of them said, "Rebel with a cause," and some other stuff like that, which I'm not a fan of that. I just want something that just looks cool and is just, cool color scheme. So anyway, that's why I chose this one. So this is on Rio de Janeiro. This is the full version. I'm very unfamiliar with this full version of this track, and just even really this track in general, I'm not very familiar with. And like I said, this is my first time driving this car, so you'll see a lot of mess-ups, a lot of just real terrible driving on my part, honestly. I mean, I know, I've raced in R class, which is one below this, and I've raced in X class, which is one above this, a decent amount. So this wasn't too bad for me, but like I said, it took me a whole lap and, most of the second lap before I really started to figure it out. But this is a sick car. I mean, I know why I was so into it. I know why I was so into it on Forza 5, which it ended up being it was like my favorite car in Forza 5 for the longest time. I gradually worked my way up to this, and then when I was playing multiplayer, I ended up working my way up to this, and I thought, like, well, this is it, This is as good as it gets. And at that time, I didn't even really know about Formula 1. This was a couple years ago. I didn't even really know. I mean, I'd heard of it, obviously, but I didn't know what it was. Look at that, man. And yeah, decided to do another rewind there. It's just like, whatever, man. So another thing about this too was this really showcased to me the differences in the racing, because as I was kind of explaining in the video yesterday, there's a lot of like different tracks that are good for different cars, and so sometimes you'll be racing and you really struggle on a track. Like, you'll see right here. I mean, look, I pulled into that corner to pass that guy, and then look, he just takes off on me. So it's just like there's a lot of differences into different types of tracks, and for whatever reason, I mean, obviously I'm not a good driver, but some of these tracks, like this one, was really tough, and I ended up completing it and getting in the top 3, which you need to do to move on. But the race after this, which was on a track that I didn't know at all, Sonoma, which, I mean, I've raced it a couple dozen times, but I don't know it very well. And especially with this new car, I ended up winning by 36 seconds, which is absolutely incredible. That is an unimaginable amount of lead on the car behind you. And so after that, I turned the difficulty up, and I smoked them again the next race. So I turned the difficulty up to the highest it could go, and I got absolutely rocked the first race, like just schooled. And so there seems to be a pretty big difference. So I have been running it at Expert, which is the second highest, or third highest, excuse me. So then there's Pro above that, and then there's Unbeatable, I think it's called. And, so I've been racing on the Expert, and it's pretty good. If I don't know the car as well, or if I'm newer to the type of car, that was a great 2 passes right there. And see, that's when I realized, like, okay, I kind of got this thing figured out now. So now I'm up to 6th place. There's not too many cars ahead of me at this point, and I kind of, that particular turn exactly where I passed the 2 guys, I was just like, alright, dude, I can do this. I got this. And you'll see as I come in these next 2 turns, this big sweeper, the next right after that, and then the following left are just really great. And I really just, fly through these. Like that one, like, yep, goodbye, dude. And then this one especially, you just fly through this one too. And I thought, okay, I'm definitely going to be good in this race, considering I'm only about halfway through and I'm already, I've already got it kind of figured out like this. But, yeah, so I was running on Expert, and then I bumped it up to Pro, and even the Pro I was still beating them. But as soon as I bumped it to Unbeatable, which they're all the same increments, as soon as I bumped it to Unbeatable, they were literally unbeatable. Like, one of the races I raced, and I was in 8th place, and, oh man, that was horrible. Like I said in the other video, since this is in the career, when things like that happen, someone, pulls in front of me or cuts through the line or whatever, like, I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to keep going. In any circumstance in a multiplayer where it was a real player, I'd absolutely stop, even if it was their fault. Still, I'm always conscientious to yield to other people and be polite. Because chances are I'll pass them again anyway. But in this case, it's the career, so I'm not gonna, And I actually there's a setting in there where you can turn the setting is called Limit Aggressive Driving, and basically what that does, if you flip it on, it'll tone down the aggressiveness of the drivatars so that they won't go after you or hit you, and they won't cut in and try to cut you off, kind of a thing. And they'll just they'll be polite and yield to you, but I don't want to do that, So anyway. As soon as I went to the high setting, they were just absolutely smoking me, and I couldn't beat them. So, like, most of the races, like I said, I won by 36 seconds. With the Expert setting, most of the time I'm able to get, I'm kind of able to get into the top 3 within, like, the last 25% of the race. So, like, near the end of the race, I'm finally able to get up into the top 3, and that's been a good balance for me. But then to beat them just smoke them, and then beat them by 36 seconds. Like, here, look. I'm already in first, and I still have 2 laps left. So I still have, 40% of the race left, and I'm already in first place, and this is the first time driving this car. That turn right there was stellar. That was it right there. But so then to beat him again on the next race by 36 seconds, and then to bump it up again, and to still beat everybody by like 10, 15 seconds, and then I go to Unbeatable, and I was in 8th place. And I literally did not make up a single bit of ground on first place through, like, I was in 8th place on like lap 2 of 8, and I was not able to make up any ground, and I ended up finishing in 8th place. I ended up restarting the race on like one of the last 2 laps because I literally didn't make up any ground. I was basically using like a tracking point, like as soon as I'd crossed the finish line, I would look and see where the first place car was relative to me on the track, just so I could keep an eye on if I was making up any time, and I did not make up a single bit of time across the whole race. So I thought, man, that is ridiculous. So incrementally, like, it gets a little harder and a little harder, but when you flip that switch to the final one, they roasted me. It was no competition. And that was after I'd already done 5, 6, 7 races with this car already. So I was more used to it, and man, it was something else. So anyway, this car's a lot of fun. Like I said, I can totally see why I went to it in the other car. It's starting here in a minute. I'm actually going to go into cockpit view, and this was actually some of the hairiest cockpit view I've ever been a part of, and it really got my heart pumping. It really, puckered my butthole a few times, if you know what I'm saying, because it was just, it's really tight, and the game, not my butthole. Anyway, moving on. I've already said too much. Saying the cockpit view is awesome, and it was just ridiculous. Look how small that cockpit view is. You're basically like in this incredibly claustrophobic thing, but it's just very, 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 closed in, and just like the feel of it and stuff was just ridiculous. To be able to like that. Whoo! Like, I have a hard time positioning the car in my own mind when I'm in cockpit view. Like, I can't see the way I should be attacking all the corners because I've never driven cockpit view, which is ironic because one of the people that I know that races a lot, who used to race only in cockpit view, said the same thing about third person. They said, they can't figure out where the car's supposed to be when they're in third person. So it's just one of those things. But it was ridiculous. That was bad right there. But then everything else was pretty clean. There is a really horrible transition coming up. The recording cut off because of all my rewinds, and I didn't end up recording back far enough on the following clips. There's a little bit of a jump. You'll see a gap of about 20 seconds coming up here in a second, but that was just because I was trying to record the whole thing, so I'll try to be better about that. I mean, obviously the less I rewind, and it's coming up right here. Yeah, see, so just skip 20 seconds for just because. But yeah, so this was fun, definitely exciting, and I started the second volume already. Started the second series, which, you know, I did the first 6 races. I mean, look how close that is. Like, we're talking like just ridiculous right now. Just the way you're flying around and everything's bouncing and stuff. It's just intense. Especially on my new big TV, it's just intense. So definitely be have another video slated up with this same car. That was a much later race where I did a lot better than this. So yeah, more to come with this. So thank you guys for checking this out. I appreciate it. Make sure you check back soon. I'm really going to try to be covering anything that I read or see about the Xbox One X. If I find anything new, I'm going to try and report it or talk about it. Same with Forza 7 if I hear anything or see anything. So thank you guys. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of my content. Feel free to browse all the other videos on my channel. There's a lot of them on there. Thank you guys for checking this out. I appreciate it. Catch you next time.